All right, so this is the underside of my Hobie Lynx. So at the back, almost at the rudder, there's this plastic plug. So you got to flip it over first and undo that one screw. This needs to come out because the power pole, or the actual pole portion, actually goes through the hull of the kayak right here. Let's unscrew that. There we go, that's out. Whoops. There we go, all right. All right, we're gonna set this aside and probably, well, we'll go ahead and screw it back together so we don't lose all the parts. Oh, dropping stuff left and right. All right, we'll set that off to the side for now. I gotta rinse it off with fresh water before we put it away. All right, y'all, so these four, 1, 2, 3, 4, are the preset screw holes. They are not threaded though, but that's where this mount is meant to go. We're just gonna go ahead and double check to be sure. So, yeah, okay. So this, let me see if I can get it to show y'all. I don't know if it's showing through there, but I can see it with the naked eye. So anyway, yeah, so things line up correctly. So we're gonna go ahead and put this big guy back and get him out of the way. So actually, this screwdriver bit is actually a little bit small for these screws. We're going to go ahead and upgrade on the size. You actually want to use a Phillips head number 3. I don't know if you can see that in this light. Sorry, my garage at night doesn't have the best lighting, but anyway, you want to use the regular Phillips screwdrivers that most people are going to have on hand easily are number 2. That's typically the bigger size, but you actually want to go up a size and use the number 3 for this, so that you get into that drill bit, or excuse me, you get into that screw head properly. You don't want to strip out the screw head while you're doing this. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and line things up. Before we do that, I need something to pull this aside. There we go. All right. Just to get that out of our way so we're not fighting it. So I'll make sure we get it started. All right, we're gonna go ahead. Yep, that's started, and we're gonna do our other screws before that. Or excuse me, before we tighten everything down. All right, we'll get that started. And then here, probably not necessary, but I'm doing this kind of the way you would tighten down your lug nuts on a tire, where you go diagonal corner to corner type of thing. So now we're going to go ahead and tighten that down part way. Tighten this one down part way. Over to here. Tighten that. Tighten that. All right, now we're going to finish tightening everything. All right, we're just going to hand tighten. I would not recommend doing this with a any kind of electric screw gun or screwdriver. I would definitely recommend just doing this by hand and just tighten it down. You don't need to really cinch it down super hard because you're screwing into plastic. All right, that's good. That's good. That's good. All right, there we go. Yep, that's not going anywhere. All right, cool, cool. All right, so next thing we're going to go ahead and test fit the main unit. There we go. All right, so these hexagon pieces are going to go in here. There we go. I think we want it, yeah, we're going to want it about there. And there. And let's see, that's going to lock in this way? That way. There we go. And then this guy tightens through. There we go. All right, yeah, I'm pulling pretty hard on that. That's not going anywhere. All right, cool. All right. All right, I think we're going to stop it there and work on the wiring harness to a battery next, and then the last thing, we're going to set this in the back of the truck and put the actual spike in there and test it. All right, y'all, we're going to go ahead and wire up this battery harness and end connector. So just temporarily until the actual power pole portable little rechargeable lithium battery comes in, I'm just going to be using this little lead sealed acid battery, 12 volt, 7.5 amp hours. Should be plenty for running the power pole all day, or probably could run it for a whole week if I went fishing every single day. But anyway, 12 volt battery is what the system is designed for, so just make sure you don't hook it up to 24 or any other voltage. 12 volt is what you're looking for. So, all right, so we've got these little connectors for the battery, and what we need to do is, one, well, I already double checked this when I bought them at the store, but you want to make sure the terminals are the right size for the battery, because there's typically two sizes of terminals for these batteries. So they're brand new, so it's going to be a fairly tight fit, but yep. So that's the correct size for the battery. The next thing we want to find out is what's the correct size for these wires. So we're going to open both of them up. Probably should have pre-cut these before the video started. That's how they do things on cooking shows. They have everything pre-done, but we're just doing it on the fly. So if y'all can see, let me see if I can hold that up to the camera. We're dealing with two different wire sizes. So these blue ones are rated for 16 to 14 AWG, which I believe stands for American Wire Gauge. And then the yellow ones are 12 to 10 American Wire Gauge. So it's kind of like with shotguns, the larger the number, the smaller it is, versus the smaller the number, the larger it is when it comes to wire gauges. So we're going to take a look at that and compare it to our wires. think we're going to be using the larger ones for this, so maybe not. Let's see. Oh, no, it's the smaller ones. Okay, cool. All right, so those are just extras for future projects. You can get these compression terminals or these battery terminals pretty cheap at pretty much any electrical or hardware store. So they're good to have a handful on hand for all sorts of other projects. So, all right, so we know we need a couple of those. I'm going to set that off to one side, but I'm not going to close it completely in case I botch it up and need more. All right, next thing we're going to do before we go any further is we've got 1/4 inch and 1/8 of an inch diameter heat shrink tubing. Let's see, I'm going to double check. Yep, nope, that one's too small. All right, so we're going to be going with the 1/4 inch. Just make sure that at its largest, it fits over that. All right, so we are going to test fit that right there. And what you want, let me see, will it fit over the terminal itself? Yes, it will. Okay, so what you want when you pre-cut heat shrink is you want it to be a bit longer than you expect to need, because not only will it shrink widthwise, but it will also shrink lengthwise, not as drastically, but it will do that. So just something to be aware of. So we're going to slide that onto our wires first. Always slide the heat shrink on first. Now get your minds out of the gutter. All right, so this red wire came already pre-stripped as much as we would need. Looks like they, oh yeah, they pre-stripped the black wire too. So we do have some strippers, crimpers, etc. all built in to this one tool, which is useful. Also useful to have a set of wire cutters. I'm not going to say the other name for them because then I'll get my whole YouTube channel shut down probably. Anybody who's familiar with electrical work knows what those are called. All right, so we're going to slide on our battery terminal, and then, all right, remembering that these terminals are 16 to 14 AWG, and on our tool we have the little, it's color coded as well, but 16 to 14 AWG crimp. Actually, let me turn that so hopefully you can see it. I want to go ahead and crimp that down. Give it a pull. Yep, that's on good and tight. All right, so same thing over here. Slide it on, crimp it down onto the wiring. Make sure it's good and tight. Yep, there we go. And we're going to go ahead and slide our heat shrink up. I like to slide it up onto the terminal itself part way. You don't have to, just a habit I picked up that I personally like to do. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and move everything out of the way that doesn't need to be heated up. Let's get that battery out of the way. Get the tools out of the way. All right, so got a heat gun. It's set. See how it's got two different settings, a low, medium heat, and then a high heat. We're just going to go ahead and use the low heat to start with. And watch the magic happen. set that off to the side. We'll give this a minute to cool down before we connect it back to the battery. But you'll see the difference now that they're shrunk down. One thing to be aware of though, this heat shrink is not waterproof. It's water resistant. And we are going to be putting, so this is going to get connected to the battery, and then the battery is going to go, and this whole this end of the cable will all be inside of a dry bag. So we're going to have multiple layers of water resistance. All right, so what we want to do is, I mean, this is 12 volts, so it's not going to hurt you, but if you screw up, you're going to get a spark, and that'll make you jump. So I prefer to connect power first, then ground. I've found going in that order, you're less likely to get a spark. But I mean, again, it's just a 12 volt DC battery, so it can't hurt you. So just yeah. So test fitted. We can go ahead and hook this up to the actual power pole, and see if we get light. All right, so there's only one way that this can connect, because there's a little plastic piece that has to fit in right there. Also, there's a vertical prong right in the middle that forces you to line it up properly. All right, so I see a flashing green light. All right, so let me see. That should probably tell me, oh, all right, so the battery is 4 out of 5 on the charge. I don't know what that red button does. I better read the instructions, but all right, we got light, flashing light. Let me see. Okay, yeah, mechanism's working. Okay, cool. All right, y'all, we're back outside. We're gonna go ahead and put the power pole spike in, as well as run the calibration cycle. So we're gonna check the instructions. Let's see. Where is that at? There it is. All right, so calibration. Yeah, I know, I'm checking the instructions. I'm sure y'all could look this up online. I'm sure somebody's got a video about it as well, but we're gonna go ahead and read through and do it by the instructions. So got to insert the spike. Let's see. All right, that's where it kind of stops on its own. So I'm assuming the calibration will kind of get it in place where it needs to be. So, and then it says press the anchor force and battery level buttons at the same time. So that's going to be these two. Let me see. Doesn't say I need to hold them for a certain period of time, but let's see. There we go. All right, and it says it's going to be going up and down on its own for 30 to 60 seconds. Oh, is that it? Okay. Interesting. So I'm guessing I'm going to have to do that every time I go on and off the water, maybe? So, oh, okay. So it just sits there on its own. All right. So let's practice going down. So it goes down just as long as I hold the button. All right. All right, let's see. All right, now back up. Okay, so it just sits there. Interesting. All right, let's go ahead and use the remote now just to see.
permit to be doing this? Filming? You have a permit to be filming?
Yes. You seen Parks and Recreation?
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah, I gotta go write a piece of paper by hand. I can do what I want. That's my permit. All right, so it looks like if you press down, it goes in increments of about a foot or so. Yep, okay. And then same for going up. So you can either press and hold it or just press it and then let go. Now if you go up till it pretty much stops, then the spike is just going to be resting in there, but looks like you can go down one. Yeah. All right, so you set it in, then you go down one, and that pretty much locks it in. It's pointed, the point of that, oh, let me see if I can get under there with the camera better. There we go. So the point of it's just below the hull at this back part, but it's pretty much even with the bottom of the hull at the lower part. And once the drive is in, that's pretty much where it's going to sit. All right, so finishing up my installation video on the micro power pole.